quick announcement from the main stage. We have a really great next session which will be presented by our keynote speaker, Air Vice Marshal Amorn Chomchoey, Secretary General of National Cybersecurity Agency, which gonna be focuses on the network of cybersecurity experts of Thailand and cloud security standards. So please make your way to the main stage to listen to this very interesting session. สำหรับเซสชันต่อไปที่ Main Stage นะคะเราจะมีเซสชัน Network of Cybersecurity Experts of Thailand and Cloud Security Standards นะคะโดยผู้พูดนะคะคือ Air Vice Marshal Amorn Chomchoey ค่ะ Secretary General National Cybersecurity Agency นะคะ Thailand ค่ะทุกท่านมาบริเวณ Main Stage ได้เลยนะคะอีกสักครู่เซสชันจะเริ่มขึ้นแล้วค่ะ Right, and our next session will be presented by our keynote speaker, Air Vice Marshal Amorn Chomchoey, Secretary General, National Cybersecurity Agency, NCSA, focuses on network of cybersecurity experts of Thailand and cloud security standards. Please join me in welcoming our speaker, Kun Amorn.
Okay, good afternoon everyone and Sawadee Krap. Many faces here, not here this morning, so welcome to Thailand. Hopefully you enjoy your stay and enjoy all the speech and exhibition. And for this afternoon, there was some new thing and some upcoming thing that we would like to discuss and speak to you. The first one, before we discuss about the network of cybersecurity expert of Thailand, that hope to be the new endeavors for NCSA to get the community of experts from all around the world to work with Thailand to bring up the protection, the standard and guidance. That will be the next topic I would like to discuss. But first, brief review on the Thai's National Cloud Security Standard. Okay, this one we just declared last year, around August or September, and it will be put into effect. And we start doing the compliance and auditing in 2 years. But right now it's only 18 months, so the time is running out on how to enforce this standard. Okay, and before that, let's discuss why do we need it. Okay, from the current situation regarding the cyber threat, right now we have a lot of wrong assumptions regarding the cloud security. Okay, many people in Thailand, we are using the commercial cloud service provider, and we are thinking that if they have high standard, those high standard of security will be passed on to their system. And many of the situation, that's not the case. There's so many incidents both outside of Thailand and also the incident that ThaiCert, the unit under NCSA, have found there's a case of ransomware or even the data breaches that happen on the system that resides on cloud. Okay, and usually when it happens on the cloud-based system, it will have very high impact on the number of citizens and also the impact on the services as well. Okay, so there's a risk there that we need to address. Okay, and also for the government, they have declared the cloud first policies. Okay, and we always support of that policies because right now many organizations are running their own data centers, and it requires a lot of resources, and many of them are not using clean energies and lacking in terms of human resources to take care of the local data centers. Okay, so we are really very supportive for the cloud-first policies to migrate at least part of the system from the government organization and use more of the cloud resources, and not just for the money saving reason, but also we want to be build up the data economy. We want to build up on the competitiveness for the AI as well. So if we success in terms of cloud first policy, it will greatly improve the situation for Thailand. There will be greater for data economy, digital economy, and will be the basis for the AI development for the future. Okay, but since there's a risk and also the benefit, so how can we reduce the risk at the acceptable level? And of course, we want to emphasize on the need to build in the security within the design instead of add on to it. That's why we in a hurry to declare the cloud security standard even before the finalization of the cloud first policies, because we want everyone to think about the security beforehand when they decide their solution or their system that will be running on cloud. Okay, and for this, the step that we need to take is the basis of the policy and guideline and law that related to this standard. And of course, we have to discuss about the data classification. What kind of data that will be running on those kind of system? Okay, and we have to look at how to manage the cloud system because it's quite different than what we are used to with the physical data center on off-premise. Okay, so those are the things that we have to take into the consideration, and the standard that we plan to put in the cloud security standard to support the cloud policies. Okay, we have to make sure that it harmonizes with international standard and take into the consideration for the cost to comply. Okay, because if we only want security and no one can do it, or it's too much different than international standard, then that will be impossible for many organizations to actually make sure that they comply with this. Okay, and we will focus on two main actors for this cloud security standard, on the cloud service providers and also the cloud service customers. Those are the basis function and consideration that we have in mind when we draw these cloud security standards. Okay. Okay. And we base on the power of the Cybersecurity Act of 2019, because in that act we can declare additional standard, but based on the constituencies for this Cybersecurity Act, which we focus on the regulators, CAIs, and government agencies. Okay. But it doesn't mean that private entities are not allowed to use this standard, but it could serve as a guideline. Okay. But based on the CAI government agencies and regulators, they all have to comply. Okay. Based on the standard that we have declared. Okay. And key principle behind this standard, let me emphasize again that we want it to be harmonized. Okay, because we don't want something to be so much different than the international standard, because for that one that will raise a lot more issues, more than we can handle. So we just choose the international standard to be the basis for this, but to make sure that it can reduce or manage the cost as well, and also be able to counter the risk that we foresee. Okay, and the target we actually copy the model from AWS, the share responsibility model. Because from the past, with the incident that happened on cloud, there are so many of them that the people who at fault is the cloud service customer. Okay, there's so many systems that doesn't have the web application firewall. So many systems that don't focus in the right place, and they don't even have the policies that declare for the system running on cloud. Many of the organization, they may have passed the certification like ISO 27001, but only there is a system on premise, but not the one of the resources that actually provide the services for their own customer. So we need to work with the cloud service provider to make sure that they have a high standard. And most of the commercial viable cloud service provider already have it. But the part that we need to focus more is on the cloud service customer. Okay. And we have to emphasize on the security categorization of what kind of information that's on the system. Consider the part about how to keep the confidentiality, integrity, availability, and consider the privacies that's involved. And we try to make sure that there's no one-size-fits-all on this standard. So we emphasize on the categorization. If it's the low impact, then you can put in the minimum control and do your own auditing. But if it's the moderate impact, or if it's involved PII, the personal identifiable information, then it's the moderate impact. Okay. And for that one, there will be external auditor to make sure that you comply. And also the high impact that involved with national security. National security related, we will consider it to be the high impact. Okay. And the responsibility will be shared in two parts, for the CSC and the CSP. Okay. Key point of the standard, like I said, we try to utilize the internal standard at the basis of the requirement on what we're looking for. And the first one is the ISO 27017, and the one about privacy is the 27018. Okay. And also the part about cloud computing, and that one is 22123. Okay. And we select part from the Cloud Security Alliance Cloud Control Matrix, but we cannot include them all because there's so many items for the CSA standard. Okay. Okay. And to make sure that the standard can accomplish what we want, we have considered the risks that involve, that come in with the cloud-based resources. Yeah. Because many organizations we have to work with, they are familiar in working with the on-prem. They may have their own virtualization technology, but it's not exactly the same like the one that's running on cloud. Okay. So, and for this one, we have to apply in these two actors for the cloud security standard. Okay. Okay. And the item within the standard, we base this on the ISO standard. Okay. For example, you need to have information security policies, the one that involve with the cloud-based resources. Some organization structure that will be in charge of the cloud resources, and some rule and compliance that need to be done. Okay. And the second one for the cloud infrastructure, security and operation, many of these you will find it is almost exactly the same like in ISO 27001, but the implementation of it is different. Okay. The cloud security, cloud service provider might already have all the technology piece, but it's up to the client or the customer that need to subscribe to those services. And that need to be declared clearly within the standard so that the client can know what kind of technology they need to implement besides the policy piece that need to be declared further for the organization. Okay. Okay. And for this is the minimum requirement. We have the word minimum requirement because if the regulators require more, they can add additional requirement to it. So for the low impact, it means that it doesn't have many impact for a lot of people. It doesn't contain the PAI. It's just some system that running on cloud. For example, public website. Maybe you don't need to have the moderate impact or high impact controls. Okay, for that one, we just require 8 controls for the low impact. Okay, but if it's moderate impact, for example, it's involved with the PAI and it causes some privacy issues, then there will be additional control for the organization to follow. Okay, and for the high impact that relate to the national securities, then there will be additional control as well. Okay. And for that one, the main difference may be the location of the data centers. Okay. In the standard right now, we say data localization, but I just want to be clear in communicating with you that we focus mainly on the location of data center that running the cloud services. It doesn't have the same meaning with the data localization that have a different interpretation. Okay. Okay, and for the certified bodies, for the moderate impact and high impact, they will require the external entity to certify. But for the low impact, you can just self-declare that you comply with these standards. Okay, okay. And for high impact, for this one, the DR site also. For the main site must be in Thailand, but for the DR site, it could be outside of the country, but within this region. The reason behind this because right now we are quite concerned about internet cut off. There's so many incidents for accident happen to the submarine cable. There's so many incidents happen that if the critical resources or the high impact system reside outside of the country, and we might not be able to get to it if there's some disruption for the internet. And there's so many services that we rely heavily on. For example, the Thai DE services. Right now, almost 20 million people are using it. And they use it for authentication. Okay? And if it's got disrupted, it means that people cannot access the services. So those kind of requirements we put in to make sure that there's always the availability of the system that involved with the national related security. Okay. Okay. And those are the short summarization regarding the national cloud security standard. We hope to implement it and starting right now and it's not just us that put out the standard, but we have to make sure that all the prospective clients, the people who using cloud right now, or people who plan to use cloud, understand this standard. And we have, like I said, it's no longer 24 months, it's only 18 months that we have to start do the auditing. So there will be a lot of steps that we need to take. Because it will require the planning, not just the process, but also the budget on what kind of technologies they need to implement in order to comply. Okay. And another challenge for using the cloud is that the technology piece, each cloud service provider have different name. Okay. It accomplishes the same thing, but different cloud service provider have the new commercial name for everything. So that's another thing that we need to do is to have some mapping between what we require, what kind of technologies that cloud service provider can offer, and also another thing that we want to work with all the cloud service provider is to provide some basic as a template to ease the transition to declare the policies. Because many of the organizations, even the one that using cloud right now, their policies only apply on the on-prem system only. It doesn't have all the necessary documentation or necessary policy that apply to the cloud-based resources. So there's a lot more work to be done while we are trying to improve the cybersecurity posture for all the cloud service customers and also work with all the cloud service providers to make sure that they understand that this cloud security standard is not to stop the progress or stop people who not or not willing to move to cloud, but to enable that they can move to cloud and use the system in secure manner. That's what needs to be done. So for this, the next step is we are in the drafting process for the National Cloud Security Framework to help at the transition from where we are right now and where we want to get to is to apply the cloud security standard. Okay. And the reason we call it the draft version because we want more input from all the cloud service provider, for all the SI and all the government agency as well to make sure that this framework, after it put into effect, will help in the transition between the on-prem that we are used to on-cloud resources that we plan to have for the future. Okay. And also the focus for this because the transition between the on-prem and on-cloud is quite different. And also we might have different set of law and regulation. And of course, we have to have the understanding that using the cloud-based doesn't reduce the attack surface, but introduce a new one. So for this framework, we want to address these issues. And hopefully, it can help with better understanding on how to actually implementing the standard for each of the government, CI, and regulators for all those organizations. Okay. Okay. And the benefit that we hope is to reduce the redundant effort to provide some consistencies and cost efficiencies. Okay. Because if we don't have the right framework, people might invest too much more than what we're asking for. And like I said, the main purpose for this is to support the data economy and digital economy. Okay. It wouldn't be able to protect the system for 100%, but it could reduce the risk. For that, we can take the advantage of cloud-based resources and be prepared for the next step to train the AI model for the future. Okay. And the process is to have some joint requirement definition, setting some priority on what needs to be done, and have some guidance for the planning phase and implementation, and continuation for evaluation and validation for the cloud design, both existing and the future system that we plan to have. Okay. The plan to have for this framework, we hope to release it in February, and the draft version, if you're willing to work with us, then we would like to welcome you to work with us as well, to establish the network of experts for this framework. Okay? Because we are not the expert by ourselves, we just know that we need to get there to better the cybersecurity posture. But we need a lot more input from inside Thailand and outside of Thailand. And these are the main pillars that we want to work. The first is the underlying related framework, which we would like I said, we want to use the framework and the standard that internationally acceptable. Okay, and all the stakeholders that we want to work with, including the government agencies. And the first strategy for this framework is that we want to build a public-private partnership, okay? Because it will be the beneficial for both of us. We want to use cloud, and you want to offer cloud services, and you want to offer the services to integrate it all together. So why not we work together to reach that goal, okay? And to promote the ecosystem. When we meant ecosystem, it means that the requirement that the client want could be incorporated into build up the business, okay? Both for the implementation, integration, auditing process, okay? And at the end, we need to build up the capabilities. We don't have enough of the cloud engineer and have even less for cloud security engineer. Okay. So for this framework, we hope to build up all those three pillars so that at the end, there will be the transition document to help from the current system to the new system that accomplish what you want and also comply with the cloud security standard. Okay. Yeah. So that brings into the next topic that we'd like to discuss with you, and hopefully there will be call to action. My assistant deputy, my assistant secretary general, he's sitting right in front row, and he will be, please stand up so that people will come to you and exchange the name card with you. He's the main person behind the cloud security standard. And also he will be the main person to drive the creation of network of cybersecurity expert of Thailand. But when we say Thailand, it doesn't limit it to Thai citizens. Okay? We want to get all the involvement of people who want to do business with Thai organization and also want to learn more and contribute to our cause. Okay. And for this, we plan to have many sets of the network of cybersecurity experts that work with us. But this one will be the main agenda that we want to work with right now with the cloud security. In the future, we hope to work more with you regarding the post-quantum cryptography or AI or any additional current and upcoming technology as well. Okay. But the main task force that we try to establish right now, we will focus more on the cloud security. Okay. Okay. And the mechanism, for this, we want it to be free from commercial gain, but it will be benefit for all of us to try to create the environment that we can work together, fit the term to counter the risk, cost not too much, but compensate with the risk that might involve, and also trying to reach the same goal. So instead of create something that no one can do or cost too much for adaptation, we want to get you involved in the planning process of drawing the cloud framework that we plan to do. Okay. And also we can work online or on site. It depends on your availability. Okay. And also you can have the input for the process on what we're trying to do. Okay. And of course we will provide you with recognition on your contribution for each of the work that we have done. Okay. So for this, we hope to work for not just existing company, but this is not the limitation on the number of people who can join, but hopefully there will be more to come. And it doesn't have to, you don't have to represent the organization. It could be you that want to work with us and contribute for this cause, and hopefully we can make it better with all of your contribution, not just for NoCSET, because we don't know everything and we're not expert in all the area. What we learn is just gathering of information and experience that we have. So if we can get some worldwide experience from the expert from everywhere, then I think we can accomplish something that suitable for Thailand and could be applicable for anywhere else. Okay. So at the end, I would like to leave you with the key takeaway. So the cyber threat will continue to increase because, as I said, like this morning and every single session that I have shared, we haven't adapted to this new world. Hopefully, America will reach Mars, but right now, we already on the different planet from the physical world we live in. Okay. There will be more threats that come with the new technologies. So what needs to be done is that after we identify those risks of the new threat, we have to plan ahead on to counter and mitigate those risks. Okay. And cloud security standard is the major and key success factor for the cloud first policy. in order to provide a stable digital economy and society, and of course the national security. Okay. And we want to promote the cybersecurity standard for cloud system, okay, which before we start do the auditing, we have to make sure that people will know what to do, actually implementing it, and be prepared. Yeah. There's always the number of 80-20. 20 might not be able to comply, but we expect that we can make some changes for 80% of the cloud resources that will be used in Thailand within 2 years. And in order to achieve that goal, we need to have unified collaboration to work together, both in Thailand, on the public and private as well, and also to bring up the capability for the people, and also the work that needs to be done. We want your input for all of us to work together to make sure that it's something that we can accomplish the goal suitable for us, and also be able to reduce the risk to acceptable level. Okay. Those are the key main points that I would like to make. Right now, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, or anything you want to share, please. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We have some. Please wait for. Okay. Yeah.
Air Vice Marshal, I am Bob Fox. I am the chair of the Digital Economy Group for the Joint Foreign Chambers of Commerce.
Okay.
First of all, I wish to commend yourself for the excellent work in thinking about Cloud First and bringing in experts and a community, because this cannot be done by one person deciding things. So congratulations on the approach that you are taking.
Okay.
We will take up your offer through your deputy to engage with you. But we do have one question that concerns a number of our members. In the high-risk area, the idea of keeping data on a data center in Thailand. So this is only the high-risk category, as you correctly pointed out from the from the standard that comes into force later this year. But it's difficult, even recognizing the threats of cable cuts, etc. It's difficult to understand in a world where we regularly export data for processing in high-speed ways and with multiple relationships. It's difficult to understand what the rules are going to be if we have to do that and still meet our commercial objectives of having data transferred. Unfortunately, at the moment, under sections 28-29 of the Personal Data Protection Act, the PDPC has not yet issued whitelists for where data can go. But that's personal data, of course. This is a little bit different. But my question is, how would you see us resolving this issue of requiring data in that category to be kept on a data center in Thailand and meet the commercial objectives? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We have been asked this question before from Microsoft team. So at the end of last year, on Christmas, we worked together to provide some clarification on the term of high level. And right now, the focus will be on the national security related. For example, the information that related to Ministry of Defense, or anything that could have a strong impact on national security. So many of the systems existing right now is not actually the high level. And in that documentation that AVM Amorn Chomchoey can share with you, we have already declared that, just to be sure that there is no room for imagination on how to identify the high impact, at least for now. Okay? But we leave some room for regulators. They can create or declare additional needs or requirements because that's our basis of the law. We provide the baseline, but the regulator can require more just in case, so that we can leave some room for them just in case they need to declare additional requirement. But for us right now, it's focused mainly, the high level is for the national security related impact that we consider ourselves as the high impact area. Okay. And discussion about the transfer of data. Okay, for us, we declare it clearly as well that we are not right now not concerned about the transfer of data. That's up to the PDPC or some entity to declare it further. Okay, we focus on the location of data centers. I'm sorry about putting the word data localization in there. I'm very sorry about that. Hopefully for next revision, we remove that out because what we meant right now is the local data centers. And the main concerns is the availability of the system that we need to access 24/7 without any disruption from the submarine cable cut off or any interrupt in DNS services or whatever that might happen. Okay, that's just to provide clarification. So just based on this standard, right now, we are not concerned about the transfer of data that could be applied by using the cross-border data transfer or some additional document that might happen. Okay, so for now, just only for this standard, you can still transfer the data and process and train your AI model or whatever that need to be done to provide our basis for data economy for the future. What focus right now is the availability of the system. That's the main concern for this standard. Okay, yeah. Okay, any other question or comment? Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much. Hopefully, you all can join to be the team of experts that could help us, guide us, and work with us so that we can create something that will be useful for Thailand and applicable for cybersecurity for Thailand. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you so much, Air Vice Marshal Amorn Chomchoey, Secretary General, NCSA Thailand. Once again, please help me scan the QR code up on the screen for your feedback. ขออนุญาตสรุปเซสชันของคุณอมรเล็กน้อยนะคะคุณอมรค่ะได้เน้นย้ำนะคะถึงเรื่องของ Thailand's National Cloud Security Standard นะคะแล้วก็เริ่มต้นด้วยว่าเรานะคะอาจจะยังมีความเข้าใจผิดค่ะในเรื่องของ Cloud Security Standard ค่ะว่าถ้าเราใช้เจ้าใหญ่เนี่ยหรือเจ้าที่เป็น global แล้วเราจะมีความปลอดภัย 100% นะคะแต่ว่าจริงๆแล้วเนี่ยไม่ใช่ค่ะเพราะว่า ransomware นะคะยังสามารถเกิดขึ้นได้นะคะแม้ว่าจะใช้เจ้าใหญ่ๆค่ะโดยรัฐบาลไทยนะคะได้ประกาศ Cloud First Policy นะคะซึ่งจะโฟกัสไปที่การmigrate เอกสารต่างๆนะคะไปสู่ Cloud ค่ะหรือว่ามีการใช้ Cloud มากยิ่งขึ้นนะคะเพื่อส่งเสริม Data Economy นะคะแล้วก็ส่งเสริมการแข่งขันด้าน AI อย่างแท้จริงนะคะ NCSA ค่ะสนับสนุน Cloud First Policy ของรัฐบาลนะคะโดยตั้งใจที่จะประกาศ Cloud Security Standard นะคะเพื่อ support Cloud First Policy โดยตรงนะคะโดยมีการอิงนะคะจาก International Standard อย่างเช่น ISO นะคะในหลาย standard เลยนะคะและมีการโฟกัสไปที่ Cloud Security Provider และ Cloud Service Customer ค่ะประเทศไทยเรานะคะมี Cyber Security Act ปี 2019 อยู่แล้วนะคะโดยCloud Security Standard นี้ก็จะช่วยนะคะเพิ่มมาตรฐานนะคะที่เรามีอยู่แล้วเนี่ยให้แข็งแกร่งยิ่งขึ้นค่ะโดยมีการมุ่งเน้นนะคะไปที่เรื่องของการ harmonize นะคะหรือว่าเพิ่มความกลมกลืนกับ International Standards หลายตัวนะคะดูที่เรื่องของราคานะคะแล้วก็การป้องกันที่สามารถป้องกันได้จริงค่ะและนอกจากนั้นนะคะยังมีการแตะถึงเรื่องของ Share Responsibility Model ด้วยนะคะที่ทั้ง CSC นะคะและ CSP จะต้องมีร่วมกันค่ะในเรื่องของ requirement และ certification นะคะสำหรับ Cloud Security Standard ค่ะก็มีหลายขั้นเลยนะคะตาม impact ต่างๆค่ะเป็น high medium และ low นะคะตัวอย่างของ high impact ที่คุณอมรได้แสดงให้เห็นนะคะก็อย่างเช่น top secret data นะคะหรือว่า sensitive PII ค่ะหรือว่า critical information infrastructure หรือ national security data ต่างๆนะคะข้อมูลเหล่านี้นะคะ data center ควรจะอยู่ในประเทศของเราค่ะ ต่อไปนะคะสิ่งที่ NCSA อยากที่จะทำต่อไปนะคะก็คือทำตัว draft ของ National Cloud Security Framework นะคะให้สำเร็จแล้วก็ release ออกมานะคะภายในเดือนหน้าค่ะโดยหลักๆนะคะก็เพื่อที่จะ support นะคะ Digital Economy ในประเทศไทยค่ะลดค่าใช้จ่ายที่ไม่จำเป็นนะคะแล้วก็ช่วยทั้งภาครัฐและเอกชนค่ะในการ transition สู่ cloud first policy จริงๆค่ะและสุดท้ายนะคะคุณอมรได้พูดถึง Network of Cyber Security Experts in Thailand นะคะซึ่งเราได้ร่วมมือนะคะหรือเรียกว่า Task Force นะคะกับหลากหลายบริษัทเลยและหลายๆองค์กรนะคะไม่ว่าจะเป็น Palo Alto นะคะ Microsoft SAP ค่ะ Huawei นะคะและ Bank of Thailand นั่นเองค่ะ For our next session, we will resume at about 4:30 p.m. and it will be our last talk for today. We will be listening to the topic of quantum computing concerns. So that will be presented by Sonal Sobido, founder of Sobit Cybersecurity. So we'll meet back here at 4:30 p.m. for our last session.